Welcome back to more Open RCT2. In today's episode, we are going to be doing a tour of my entry to the Futuristic Park contest from Dirklink on his DKMP Discord server. The theme and the challenge was to build a roller coaster that is set in the future. And might be wondering how this works out. Well, I'll be going over that as well as giving my full story to the park. How about we just let's cut the chit chat and let's get right into it. So, this park has a total of 17 attractions, and that's not including any of the supports or anything like that. I decided to go for a heavily themed industrial build. The idea and the story I have for this park is that billionaires, instead of solving the problems, they decided, screw it, we'll just build a park on the moon with various futuristic advances in the park. And so let's just get started with the tour here. We'll start right at the entrance of the park. Right here in the yellow section, we have a spacewalk of sorts and this very long enclosed pathway. It goes both ways. It was a little tricky building this part early on because of how guests kept getting lost. Anyways, the first coaster of the park is Dune Blaster. So this is an off and on rail coaster, and one thing I'm starting to notice is that a lot of the rides are hard to see, but at the same time you can also see it. You see it work out. So over here it goes up, and then you're gonna see it come right off the track right here. Let's see if we can follow it into its next section. Yeah, it comes out over here, goes into this nice little tunnel, and it lands on some track. And then over here we have another train going down this ride, and here it goes off the rails again, crashing through some scenery in the process. Again, this is meant to be a very dangerous park, and that is Dune Blaster. And we also have this one observation tower here called Deep Space Observation. It is a 3D cinema where guests will literally float all the way up into space. And unfortunately, this caused a lot of motion sickness, resulting in this contaminated cabin. And then you might also notice this little car right here. What happened was during the construction and testing of Dune Blaster, the roller coaster flew off the tracks and crashed into this building right here. So it was just a little interesting thing I decided to put there. Now let's move on into the next section of the park, which is the center of the park. We have this blue area, yeah, and I'm just calling them by the colors. And the main attraction here is Surge. So the idea here is that this roller coaster is powered solely by teleportation. So it blasts through the teleportation portal here, and then it features a midsection teleportation moment after it wraps around the main tower here, which we'll get to in a little bit. It launches straight out of the station, goes around the tower, and then teleports through this section over the pass. So you guys don't actually see the train go through, it just teleports. And so, unfortunately, though, during testing, teleportation was still in its infancy, causing the crash of the ride right here under the black area of the park. So yeah, unfortunately, you do have the remains that just were never cleaned up. But we do have Mickey 15 on it, keeping an eye on it. And that's if he doesn't get eaten by the various amount of spiders, space spiders. Now, let's move back over here. Over here, we have the main station of the park. This is the mostly enclosed area, as well as the most recently built red area of the park. So this part of the park is famous for having Stratos, a clickbait coaster, as I call it, which features, as you'll see here, this very long hypercoaster train is going to perform a clickbait move by easily jumping over this gap. Look, watch, and let's see if we can get that on camera here. And here we go. It's going, and you're just gonna see it just fly over the tracks. Whee! Unfortunately, though, like you'll see with most of this park, the original drop actually caused it to fly in the wrong direction, causing it to crash over the station, and they just never cleaned it up. So it's unfortunately smoking all over the place, and it's now just a permanent fixture. You might be able to catch it if you look out the windows here, but unfortunately, it's not a big deal. We're going to use cutaway view now. So in here we have a little plaza of sorts. We have two simple flat lines. We have Final Tower, which is a simple drop tracked right. And then we have a scrambler ride inside of this little container here. Nothing too special here. You also have various space themed food stalls called Space Food and all that. And then you also have expedition, or you have the viewing area to see some of the Mickeys. They perform their various sideshow gags for the guest as they walk by. They are not that popular though, unfortunately. And then over here we have Spinner. It is a spinning inverted coaster. It's meant to test if the guests are able to handle the G forces of returning to Earth or not. And so if they fail the spinner test, they unfortunately are not allowed to go through teleportation again. Sad, but unfortunate. And then over here, we actually have the teleporter. So another part of the requirements for the park is we had to build a transport ride of some kind. So I decided to build, in space terms, a teleportation ride. And as you can see, it just teleports guests to different parts of the park. There's 3 stations. And as you'll see right here, guests will go in. It doesn't wait. Guests just enter the portals of the ride and they just teleport to the next station. And that's how guests get around the park. Speaking of transport rides, how about we go to our next transport ride? This one's not really a transport ride. The initial idea was for it to be the transport ride, but then I didn't really know how to work with it. We have the main tower right here. This is an elevator lift ride, nothing too special, but it is one of the only ways to get to one of the other roller coasters in the park, aptly titled the wonderful Star Goose Simulator. I have to actually go through there because I made the track invisible. It's a 3D cinema ride, but basically it is a simulator for guests to try and be a part of the Star Goose Academy from Mr. Friends, the Moon Woke Up series. So it's unfortunately, though, not the greatest thing. As you can see, the ride features an AI powered bot that is supposed to take him through the park. Unfortunately, it crashes through several parts of the park. Probably not the safest thing to have. You know, you have you have just rockets smashing through the roofs. Probably would be a bad idea. And I mean, here they just stopped trying. I mean, it keeps smashing through this building. They just have this one dude here who just walks around trying not to get murdered from it. And then, of course, it also tries to fly around the main tower and this part of the park specifically. And then up over here, and then right below it, speaking of the Moon Woke Up, we actually have the Moon Woke Up movie. So it is a 3D cinema theater. Guest will watch The Moon Woke Up, the entire series, or at least what is available at the time of recording this. Go check it out if you haven't already. It's actually a very interesting megalophobia, cyberpunk horror story. Really good stuff. But yeah, it's a simple theater. Guests will just go in and enter, and this is probably one of the highest capacity rides, as it also allows for single riders at about 600 guests per minute, and that might seem low. I accidentally I made a bunch of I accidentally moved the entrance. The initial entrance was actually over here, but I moved it back over to Dune Blaster. And the unfortunate part was that because I did that, the park was unable, or guests were unable to navigate this entire length of the park as they kept trying to go from Dune Blaster to the to the exit, which is actually the reason why there's this path here to begin with. So just a bit trivia for this park. You'll still see it though. Next to the original entrance, though, you actually have the moon fight. Um, it is a what's it called? Flying saucer ride that takes place on the moon. Unfortunately, you can't legally put guests on the moon itself, so you do have to put it in an enclosed area. I actually had this. This was initially a carousel ride, but it was so extreme that let's see. Let me see if I can change it to carousel real quick. It's so extreme that guests just refuse to ride it. So unfortunately, it cannot be a carousel ride. But I think 3D cinema still works. Yeah, well, it's not the easiest ride to put here. Not gonna lie. So unfortunately, it does have to be the flying saucers, not the flying roller coaster. Flying saucers. There you go. Now let's move down the ride a bit, or down the park a bit. We have another test here, G-force testing track, or G-force testing. This is again to see if guests are able to handle the forces of returning back to Earth. And if they aren't, then they aren't allowed to leave the park. Over here, one of the decorations to the park is this oxygen pumping simulator. You actually have oxygen crew in here. You might be wondering what this purple goo is. This is moon juice, so guests are able to breathe perfectly clean oxygen that's definitely not contaminated with anything else thanks to moon juice. Almost as if this park was built on the moon that woke up. I'm pretty sure it's fine. And now we're on to the final section of the park, which is this long pathway here. It looks like a long hallway and nothing else. And we have right here, we have the forces of evil. I'm kidding. They're just called forces. Anyways, the way this ride works is it's a simple reverse free fall launch coaster. So guests are quite literally forced out of their seats as they launch up this tower. And it's actually really cool when you see the Sargus simulator just fly around it, because it's like, oh, they almost hit it and all that. And there it goes. And there it went. And I decided to use the floorless trains for it because I also feel like those would probably also exist. And then down the station here, we have the gravity swing. It's a simple custom-made swinging ship where guests will enter a ship as it swings in the open space. Probably not the safest thing, but I'm pretty sure if the guests are spending a bunch of money to come to this park, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And then of course we have several different shops and stalls hidden away. We actually will then use cutaway view again just so we can see it. Here we have our sponsored by Subway section of the park. Guests are able to buy subs and lemonade, and then they can ride Regurgitator, which is a very fast spinning ride. This was actually the original The Moon Woke Up movie theater before I learned how to make stadium seating. And guests enter it, and they come out. They come out with, even though it has low nausea, some guests still experience severe nausea. So we may or may not have lied about that when we were publishing this park. Just adds to the aspect of this park was definitely rushed in production. Anyways, that is pretty much the entire park. I do recommend checking this park out for yourself. See if you can find all the Mickeys in the park, and probably look around to see if there's any other fun Easter eggs. At the time of posting this, I am actually hiding a bunch more on here before I submit this park. I'm not going to influence voting in any way, but I do recommend checking out all the parks that are submitted for the Future Park contest and vote fairly. Besides that, though, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.